Health and Safety 2020. What have we learned thus far? Hello, my name is Suzanne Craw, and I'm the Assistant Director of Pupil Services. I have the pleasure of working with your school nurses, and today we hope you find this presentation informative and answer any outstanding questions that you may have. We will be holding later today for certified staff a town hall, and Wednesday a town hall for our non-certified staff. We look forward to seeing you. I'd like to take also a moment to publicly thank Tara Webb, our district co-head nurse and COVID-19 health and safety liaison, along with all the Windham school nurses who have dedicated numerous hours this school year assisting the staff members, students, and families of Windham Public Schools learning the new health and safety protocols. I would also like to take a moment to thank the leadership team of Windham Public Schools. Your leadership team, along with your school nurses, have studied the State of Connecticut Department of Public Health and Center for Disease Control's guidances regarding COVID-19. And as we learn more about COVID-19, the State of Connecticut provides us with updated information. And as we receive this information, we will continue to revise our health and safety manual. I'd like to take a moment to thank Dr. Youngberg, our superintendent, who announced before the school year even started that Windham Public Schools would prioritize the health and safety of our staff and students, followed by their social and emotional well-being, and then academics. Dr. Youngberg recognized that learning cannot happen unless the staff and the students feel safe and supported within our building. Thank you, Dr. Youngberg, for recognizing this. And it is important to remember that all staff members in our school community have been asked to support our schools in ways that we may not have been previously asked of them. Our school nurses have been asked not only to monitor the health of students, but also of our staff. Our teachers have been asked to teach with students in multiple locations and to access technology in a way that was not fully accessed before. Our students have been asked to become more proficient in the digital world and to adjust to new routines in school. Our food service department have new protocols, especially when distributing food for our students who are within our community. Custodians have new cleaning and disinfecting protocols each night. And this is just the start of a list that captures all the ways various members of our school community have adapted to new routines and protocols. But it is important to remember that we are all still adjusting to what has become our new everyday school routine. Adults and students in our school community have experienced varying reactions with the changes to the school routine. A variety of factors influence a person's individual reactions and beliefs about COVID-19. And for some of our school community members, COVID-19 has caused chronic stress. If you know someone struggling within our school community, please do not hesitate to reach out to help them find resources. Each of our buildings have a clinical team. We have school social workers, psychologists, school counselors, and even school-based health center clinicians. Don't be afraid to ask for support and/or help. Our Human Resources Department has resources as well. Human Resources can connect you to an employee assistance program known as EAP for those who feel that they need the additional support. Now we'd like to take a moment to celebrate what we as a school community have accomplished this school year. We're all in this together. This school year, we have successfully reopened schools. We have seen individuals in our school community demonstrating all the mitigating factors. That includes wearing of the mask and other personal protective equipment, maintaining social distancing, cohorting to the maximum extent possible, hand washing and/or hand sanitizing, providing individual materials for each person within the classroom, respiratory and cough etiquette, and enhance cleaning and disinfecting surfaces. We know that you are the reason that we have not had a school community COVID-19 outbreak. You may be curious as to who is reviewing and analyzing the information on a daily basis. This is the team who are checking in daily, sometimes several times a day, to review and update our situation. We also review the latest information from the Connecticut State Department of Education, the Department of Public Health, and the local health department. Depending on the information, a task list is generated, and district-wide notifications are created based on the day's information. Types of information reviewed includes the rates of community spread. The State Department of Public Health has created a website specifically geared towards schools to help monitor the level of community spread. This information helps the local health department and our district leaders determine which mode of education is best. The table above illustrates the level of community spread and how it impacts in-person learning in our schools. Low, meaning less than 10 new cases of COVID-19 per 100,000 population, favors in-person learning. And when the community spread surpasses 25 new cases of COVID-19 per 100,000 population, this will favor remote learning. And while we are aware that the town of Windham has had a significant increase within the community, we are encouraged not to look at the individual town data, but at the county data, as the matrix was formulated based on the county's community infection rate. As of October 8th, the community infection rate for Windham County was 9.0, which is still in the low-risk category, favoring an in-person learning environment. Dr. Youngberg announced that the district would remain in hybrid until the beginning of November, and at that time, the district will reevaluate the community spread. Remaining in hybrid means that we can maintain social distancing of 6 feet with fidelity in our school buildings. We cannot eliminate COVID-19, but we can continue to do a lot to slow the spread and minimize risks for contracting COVID. If we continue to implement the mitigating strategies, we increase the likelihood our children can maintain being educated in person in our school buildings, but we all have to help. We all need to continue to practice the mitigating strategies. So let's take a moment to review the mitigating strategies. Social distancing. We need to practice social distancing in the school building and in the community. We want to avoid close contact with others. A close contact is defined as someone who has spent at least 15 minutes within 6 feet of a person with confirmed COVID-19 or a direct exposure to possibly infected droplets of saliva or nasal mucus within a day. To the maximum extent possible, we all need to maintain and reinforce with our students the 6 feet shoulder-to-shoulder social distancing rule. This does take practice. Social distancing is feasible under the hybrid model. We are asking staff to keep social distancing in place wherever possible, realizing that there are going to be scenarios where it isn't possible. And when it isn't possible, remember to increase your level of PPE, such as using the face shields. Even with increased PPE, please note that you will still be considered a close contact if you cannot maintain the 6 feet distancing. Let's take a moment to watch this video. Give Me 6 Feet by the Holderson. Well,
Give me 6 feet. It's like a length of a cow. Give me 6 feet. Or a person lying down. Give me 6 feet. So that your arms can't touch. Give me 6 feet. Which is about this much. Give me 6 feet. Like in every direction. Give me 6 feet. It is for your protection. Give me 6 feet. Front, back, right, left, two. Give me 6 feet. It's the new golden rule. Hey, you know that it's the new normal, right? And we got some old habits that we gotta have to fight. But the best way to remember what the CDC said is a catchy book that you can't get out of your head. Give me 6 feet. Surely when you chat, you we were 3 feet apart. I never knew that, but COVID-19 has made this habit very troubling. So think about your usual distance and then you double it. 6 feet. Also, when you're walking with each other side to side, maybe switch a single file and you'll discover that you'll feel a lot safer. At least that is how I felt. No close talkers like Ronald and Seinfeld. 6 feet. No, it's not impolite. Everybody's gonna do it and we're gonna get it right. Cause we're all in this together and no feelings will be hurt. So when you are at the store and when you were still at work, give me 6 feet. Like your kids' twin bed. Give me 6 feet. Like 7 loaves of bread. Give me 6 feet. Like my Target receipt. Give me 6 feet. Like 6 of my feet. Give me 6 feet. When all of this is done, give me 6 feet. So you can hug everyone. Give me 6 feet. Right in this very instant. Give me 6 feet. We all gotta keep our distance. Give me 6 feet. Is it stuck in your head yet? Give me 6 feet. Are you hearing what I said yet? Give me 6 feet. Cause the virus is mysterious and also very serious, and that is why we're here, because this is how we're gonna make Corona disappear. This is how we get through this bear of a year. Give me 6 feet and it'll go away. Give me 6 feet and it's gonna be okay.
We do have old habits we need to break. Remember, 6 feet social distancing keeps us from being identified as a close contact. Cohorts. Our second mitigating strategy is maintaining stable cohorts. A stable cohort is a group or team of students and staff that stay together throughout the school day. In order for us to maintain cohorts, we need to remember that we cannot visit others' classrooms just for a social purpose. Our movements in and out of classrooms must be tracked. In order to avoid mixing of cohorts as much as possible, hallways will flow in one-way fashion. Schedules will be staggered and bathrooms will be identified for cohort access. This is something that we will continue to have to reinforce with our students frequently. Cohorts are important if there's a positive COVID-19 case. And with the cohort listing, a public health official along with your school nurse will be able to conduct a contact tracing and identify those staff members and students who've had potential exposure with COVID-19. After school is also utilizing the cohort model, and of course, we have bus cohorts. Signage. Each school will be displaying the same set of signs with information to help staff and students be successful in consistently adhering to the mitigating strategies. Schools should post signs within visible locations to help mitigate spread of the virus. Signs must be accessible for individuals with disabilities and in languages appropriate for the school population. The topics include how to wash your hands, how to apply a facial covering, and when to stay home, and more. If you need a sign for your classroom, just ask your school secretary. Hand washing and hand sanitizing. One of the best ways to protect ourselves from germs is by hand washing. When soap and water is not available, hand sanitizer should be used. Let's remember to teach our students to wash their hands for 20 seconds. And be sure to wash your hands before entering or leaving a room, before and after eating food, before touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, after using the bathroom, changing a diaper, or assisting someone in the bathroom, after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing, after touching garbage, or after touching commonly touched items on our surface. Wash into the classroom and wash out of the classroom. Wash into the classroom and wash out of the classroom. And if you haven't watched the 20-second hand washing parodies, take a moment to do so. Mask wearing and other protective equipment. Mask wearing within the school building is required by Connecticut State Department of Education guidance. Individuals are asked to wear a mask that covers the nose and mouth. There are very few exceptions when an individual would not be wearing a mask. As health experts agree, there is a benefit to wearing one. If you believe that you qualify for a mask exemption, please contact Human Resources. Unfortunately, the official mask guidance from the Connecticut State Department of Education was provided to districts after the opening of schools. The guidance states that masks with one-way vents are prohibited within the school setting. Bandanas and gaiters should also be avoided as they do not provide an individual with the maximum protection. Let's take a moment to watch the new music video, Mask It Up, produced right here in Windham.
Coronavirus is changing the world. You know what we gotta do. I ain't got time to play. Mask it up, yeah. You should get out my face. Mask it up, yeah. To make me have to say, mask it up, yeah. You know now, cover your face. Mask it up, mask it up, mask it up. 6 feet, I'ma need 6 feet to keep my space away from you. I know it's hard, but gotta do it. COVID-19, cover it up. Yeah, I know it's not so fun. Let's make it safe for everyone. Yeah, you know that it's easy. You just gotta do your part. Wash them hands completely. We just gotta do it now. I ain't got time to play. Mask it up, yeah. You should get out my face. Mask it up, yeah. To make me have to say, mask it up, yeah. You know now, cover your face. Mask it up, mask it up, mask it up. We can do this. Just cover your face. Let's go to a good one.
Face shields. The face shield is an additional layer of protection, more critical during activities where prolonged face-to-face or close contact with a masked or unmasked student is unavoidable. Staff working with students who are not wearing a face mask will be required to wear a face shield with their mask. Face masks protect others from COVID-19. A face shield protects you from COVID-19. Gloves. Gloves are another form of PPE, personal protective equipment. Staff should wear gloves when cleaning or disinfecting the classroom. Staff should also use disposable gloves when touching or having contact with blood, stool, or bodily fluids such as saliva, mucus, vomit, or urine. If you are putting on a pair of gloves to care for a child, please be sure to wash your hands before and after putting on gloves. It is not recommended or encouraged for any staff to wear a pair of gloves throughout the day. Wearing gloves throughout the day does not help minimize the spread of infection. If you have gloves on and you touch a contaminated surface, then touch your face or a clean surface, it becomes contaminated. Our best mitigating strategy is to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds or to use hand sanitizer frequently. Individual materials. Our goal is to have students share as few common materials as possible. Items that are shared will need to be disinfected between student use. Respiratory and cough etiquette.
Stop the spread of germs that can make you and others sick. Cover your nose and mouth with a tissue when you cough or sneeze. If you don't have a tissue, use your elbow. Wash hands often, especially after coughing or sneezing into a tissue.
Cleaning and disinfecting. This year, it is most important that everyone help with the cleaning and disinfecting practices. Be sure to wear your gloves to clean and disinfect. Be sure to use the outlined spray, wipe spray method. Windham Public Schools will follow the Connecticut Department of Public Health's recommendation regarding daily routine cleaning of all areas used in the building, followed by disinfection of high-touched areas identified. Staff illness. I'm not sure if I should have started this presentation with staff illness. I chose to end the presentation with staff illness so that it's one of the last points that you hear. Staying home when you are feeling unwell is essential to keep our school community safe and healthy. This year, it is most important that all staff stay home when they are feeling sick and, in particular, are displaying symptoms of COVID-19. The best way to help keep everyone healthy is for us to err on the side of caution. Our school nurses will be available to support staff wellness. We recognize that this is a culture shift for many of us. Many of us can work through everything, but this year, please take precautions. The Connecticut State Department of Public Health is focusing on 5 key COVID-19 symptoms. The key COVID-19 symptoms are feeling feverish, measuring a temperature of 100.4 or higher, loss of taste or smell, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, chills, and/or a new uncontrolled cough. If you have a pre-existing medical condition, such as asthma, that causes shortness of breath that doesn't impact your ability to perform your job, then this symptom would not exclude you from work for COVID-19. If you are experiencing any of the symptoms listed on this table, then you cannot come to work, and in addition to calling out, you should contact your school nurse. We are asking each student, parent, and/or staff member to complete this questionnaire each day before attending school and/or work. This form is found in the Health and Safety Manual. If you are pending a COVID-19 test result, we assume that either you decided to get tested because you were symptomatic or believed you may have had potential exposure. If that is the case, please stay home while you are pending test results. Both symptomatic and potential exposure requires you to self-isolate and/or self-quarantine for a period of time. Please contact your school nurse. I cannot stress this enough. If you are feeling unwell, please stay home. If you have a symptom or have had close contact with someone who has had a positive COVID-19 test result, please be sure to notify your school nurse. All COVID-19 test results, positive or negative, need to be reported to the school nurse. Central office employees will report to Wyndham High School's school nurse. We've recently received a lot of questions regarding the contact tracing protocols. Our school nurses spent time this summer learning about their role in contact tracing. Contact tracing is used by the state and local health department to slow the spread of infectious diseases. Contact tracing will help the district identify and notify people if they have been exposed to COVID-19 and as a result should monitor their health for signs and symptoms of COVID-19. As a result of exposure, we may ask staff and students to self-quarantine. It is important that you always report any symptoms of illness to your school nurse and/or if you've had close contact with someone with a confirmed case of COVID-19. I cannot say this enough. Please communicate with your school nurse. Please note that the school nurse will be using professional judgment of the symptoms, known medical history, and the guidance from the Connecticut Department of Public Health and the North Central District Health Department when completing an assessment. This assessment will help determine whether an individual needs to isolate, self-quarantine, or if the district would need to close a school for a period of time. We want to stress that these decisions will be made on the facts of each individual case. The district will follow the recommendation and guidance from the Connecticut Department of Public Health and the North Central District Health Department. If an individual is positive with COVID-19, the school nurse will have to report this to the North Central District Health Department. Test results are confidential. Names of individuals who test positive are not even shared during our daily COVID-19 meetings. Rather, the discussion for this team is around the impact of the positive case to the learning environment. On a daily basis, it is important for you to know that the North Central District Health Department is notifying the school district of any school-aged Wyndham resident who tests positive. And as soon as we receive this notification, each day, the school nurse will start the contact tracing process. Families and staff members will be notified by the school district if they have had close contact to an individual who has tested positive for COVID-19. Please note that these conversations should remain confidential. District-wide notifications will occur after the district receives documentation of a positive test case that has had an impact on the school community. We recognize that these notifications are alarming and can create anxiety for all employees. We recognize that there are some members of the school community who have been notified of a potential contact more than once. And as a school community, we are improving our practices. We are continuously looking at our practices around contact tracing and the notification process. If you have a suggestion to make this process smoother and or less anxiety-producing, please don't hesitate to share with us. Confidentiality. Please note that any information will be kept confidential by our school nurses and not shared with other staff. The school nurses will assist you by notifying your building administrator and human resources should you need to isolate and or quarantine. Please remember to always enter your time in Chronos and to request substitute coverage. If you are a positive case, the nurses will need to share this information with our local health department as well. Confidentiality regarding students. We are also asking you to help keep your students' health information confidential. Do not share students' personal information with your coworkers. You are also key in helping track illnesses within your building. If a parent contacts you directly regarding their child being sick and or if there was a potential exposure within the family, please be sure to notify your school nurse. We are all in this together. We are going to learn from each other. If you see something in the school that needs to be improved, just mention it to your school nurse and your building administrator. We all benefit from reminders. You may see something that someone else didn't think about. Please don't be afraid to say something. And if you still have questions, please email them to Tara prior to our town hall. We cannot thank you enough. We are all in this together. The Connecticut Department of Public Health and the Connecticut Department of Education continues to share that while there have been cases in the schools across Connecticut, the cases are originating from within the community, not originating within the schools. This means that the mitigating strategies are keeping staff and students safe. Please continue to keep Wyndham Public Schools safe by instituting all of the mitigating strategies with fidelity. And on behalf of the administrators within the district, we know how hard each of you are working on a day-to-day basis, adjusting to our new school-based routines in order to ensure that our students can continue to receive an in-person education experience. Let's continue to keep Wyndham Public Schools safe and healthy, and remember, we're all in this together.